All right.
Gosh.
Let's get into the next story, and Robert, that's I do believe that's yours.
All right. So everyone knows I'm a huge NASCAR fan. Um, and last weekend, or the past couple weeks, we've had what are known as, because NASCAR starts off their year with their biggest race, the Daytona 500. And, for 2 weeks, you have a variety of events going on at the track. So it's called Daytona Speed Weeks. Um, So obviously, like the racing has been really good all week, and it culminates in this the Daytona 500, which is a huge deal. It's a big race, big payday, cool trophy, and it's a really really difficult race to win. It's even some of the sports greats have never won this race. And it took my favorite driver, Dale Earnhardt, 20 years to finally win that race. Um, and the cool, there was um, what was really cool about this year is we had the president come to the racetrack and he was the grand marshal. He gave the command to start engines, and
Hmm.
that is wasn't it wasn't a political thing or whatever.
Right.
It's just the president showed up, and he's our grand marshal, and he wasn't just in some remote location. No, he was there at the racetrack. That's freaking cool. No, this isn't the first time that a president has been at a racetrack before. Um, George W. Bush has been at a few races. He was there for the 2004 Daytona 500. Um, One of the other famous times was President Reagan was there at the Daytona race in July, where Richard Petty won his 200th race,
Hmm.
which he gave, and while he was flying in on Air Force One, he gave the command to start engines. But he was there. He went into the booth, the broadcasting booth, and he after the race, they all the drivers and teams and the president, all gathered together, and they had Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it was just like, this is cool. I'm serious. You laugh at it, but it's like that's exactly what happened, and
Oh
yeah,
man,
the fact that it's like,
that's so
wow, the
cool. No,
president,
that's just yeah. I'm laughing because it's like so cool. It's like it's kind of like
it,
how Trump had served fast food for what are those the Heisman Trophy candidates or whatever I forget. Not
yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
not them, but and everyone's like, oh, how dare he? How dare he serve fast food at
they
the
loved it.
White House? But then you talk to the guests, and they're like, man, I love this. Like, I love me some Big Macs.
Yeah, it's cool. Like it's one of those things like and the reason why I think it's really cool is like um it gives legitimacy to our sport.
Hmm.
Um and especially, this is our premier race in NASCAR. So it's cool. I don't care what president it is. It doesn't matter if it was Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, whoever. It's like, wow, the president's here. That's pretty cool. Um, and it's like it makes our sports and that race a big deal. The fact that our president of the country is here. That's wow. Um, and the fact that he took a lap around the track, and with Trump, this isn't his first race that he's been at several of these things. Before even before he was a president. It's
Right.
this is an American event,
Right.
um,
Yeah, and
and
yeah, NASCAR is a uniquely American sport.
yeah, like it's I would say even more so than baseball in a lot of ways.
Right, because you can always make the argument that baseball's derived is derived from like cricket or something, and like and basketball is this derivation of no, basketball was a derivation on I know like a lot of like South American like pre-Columbian society games.
Yeah, some
And yeah, and American football, it could be argued that it's a derivation of rugby,
right,
but NASCAR is NASCAR. you know, they're
exactly,
I mean, they're really they're I mean, yeah, you might have like Formula One or like kind of whatever like car racing that they have in Europe, but it's like NASCAR is NASCAR.
exactly. And motorsports really started here in the United States, and obviously it got it spread worldwide in a variety of different disciplines and whatnot. But auto racing is started here. It's and yeah, this is a uniquely American sport, and the fact that I mean this is and NASCAR is one of our most patriotic of the auto racing
Mm-hmm.
um, divisions. So, and of course, you have the dumb leftists who are like, ugh, looking down on our sport with their monocles and top hats, pretending like they know something about NASCAR and
Mm-hmm.
how they're who did they compare him to? Oh, it's like Hitler when he was there at the at sporting events in Germany and saluting the crowd, and it's like, give me a fucking break.
Remember there was a meme going around where it was like Hitler and like kind of like doing like the thinking pose. And it's like if everything is like literally Hitler, then who am I?
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't let, the leftists rain on my parade. Uh, it the just the fact that the president, he wasn't like in some teleconference thing, but he was there at the racetrack,
Mhm.
and the crowd went wild. They were so excited. The drivers were like, "Man, cool! The president's here! Like that's so awesome." Um, it's just it's a unprecedented historic event. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, there was a yeah, there was a rain delay for the race.
Mhm.
They got the first 20 laps in, but that's Florida at this time of year is they get like these weird little like pop-up showers, and it ended up being delayed to the next day. So the rest of the race was run on Monday, and it was a really exciting race. Now, the racing at this particular racetrack is always very treacherous. A lot of close quartered racing, um, and that also causes a lot of big wrecks, unfortunately, because you're you're bump drafting, you're drafting in these giant packs of cars, and you'll use the bumper. You'll run into the guy in front of you to kind of give you guys give the a surge to get this momentum going, and that tends to cause a lot of big wrecks. But there
Is that
wasn't
shake and
really
bake?
huh?
Is that kind of like in Talladega Nights, shake and bake?
Yeah, a lot like that. Um,
Okay. Yeah, because just for the people who aren't really into NASCAR and like they need a point of reference.
right. Um, Now, I the this type of racing at this like particular racetrack has evolved over the years. I'm not a huge fan of how it's going on now. Um, but it's still a very exciting race. And unfortunately, the at the and it was shaping up to be a very exciting finish, uh, which it was. But the unfortunate part of that is coming to the checkered flag. There's three drivers that were going for the win. You had Ryan Newman in the number 6 car. He's been around the sport since 2002. You had Denny Hamlin, who was the previous year's winner of this event, and you had another young driver, Ryan Blaney, in the 12 car, and these three were kind of going back and forth on the last lap. And Ryan Newman in the 6 car had taken the lead, but he was in a defensive position trying to hold the lead. And Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney were hooked together, and they had momentum, and they were looking like they might be able to pass Ryan Newman. So Ryan Newman, and he's going forward to try to block that move to at coming to the start finish line, and Ryan Blaney got into the back of Ryan Newman, which and when the one thing to note is that when the bumpers on these cars, if they're not lined up just right, you're going into the wall. You're spinning out, or you're going into the wall,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what happened here. And so Ryan Newman gets turned right into the outside wall, and because we have to remember these guys are going over 200 miles an hour at this point, and turns him into the wall, turns him on his roof, and it was a pretty nasty hit into the outside wall. And
Yeah,
when
yeah, I saw the video.
yeah, so that's already a nasty hit. But then you have, as he's on his roof, his driver's side gets exposed to the rest of the field, and
Mm-hmm.
another young driver, Corey LaJoy, just rams right into the A pillar of the car, right in the driver's side.
Hmm.
That is one of the scariest wrecks I've seen in a long, long, long time because
Yeah, it
it
looked pretty
came.
brutal. Like there was like sparks going on like inside of like the cabin, and just like the kind of like the vertical that it got was just kind of
Yeah,
spectacular in like a really scary kind of way.
but when you slow it down, you see that whole driver's side um, area just it's crushed in quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and man, he wasn't getting out of the car right away. And usually, when the car lands on its hood, even if the driver's okay, they're not wanting to just flip it over right away, just in case, like there are some injuries that the driver might not know about.
Right.
Um, and so it's like, okay, well, they're taking their time, but then it was taking longer and longer and longer. It's like, ooh, this doesn't look good. Um, and usually when it takes that long, something's wrong. Um, and we got the word that he went. Newman was going to the hospital, and yeah, we didn't. There's isn't too much word is exactly what happened to him, but he last night we were told that the he was seriously injured but not life threatening, and but now like today, just before our start of our live stream, it was said that he's finally awake and talking with doctors and stuff. But yeah, he's probably gonna be out of the car for a while because it seems like the we don't know what the severity of the injuries are, but it's pretty bad. Um,
Hmm.
uh, we take for
Yeah, it's
granted.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, but it's yeah, minor
It,
miracle that he lived. Yeah, and they were also from a short clip that I saw. They are also accrediting some of the changes that they made to like the safety features since Dale Earnhardt's death,
Yeah, well,
and
that's
yeah, and they're like attributing to that to like saving his life.
right, and that's the one positive effect of you know Dale Earnhardt dying is that the safety features have gone such a long way in the last 20 years that
Mm-hmm.
we haven't had a loss in we haven't had a fatality in NASCAR since then. Um, and it's like wow, we take for granted the safety um, that these guys have, and it's like when there is an injury, it's like, well, damn, it's he didn't just pop out of the car and get up, and it's it's still a very dangerous sport, and
Mm-hmm.
we get a reminder of that from last night's race. But yeah, just thankful that he survived, and I'm hoping that it's nothing that's going to end his career, that
Mm-hmm.
he can bounce back and come back and race again because he's a great race car driver, and the team that he's racing with now, they've kind of this used to be one of the powerhouse teams in the sport, and they haven't been as good, and but he was on the road to bringing this team back to prominence, and it'd be a shame if he doesn't race again. Um, but yeah, just so happy that he's okay. And there's a lot of flack too because that some of the drivers are involved, like Ryan Blaney, Corey LaJoie. They're really shaken up about the whole incident because they're involved, and it's like you can tell in their interviews that they're scared, for their friend. This is NASCAR. Like, yeah, there's rivalries, there's people that don't like each other, but at the end of the day, it's a family. It's a traveling circus in a way, and
Mm-hmm.
um, it's like when it comes to people's life, it's like everyone circles around each other and supports one another. Um, people are saying that like Denny Hamlin doing victory donuts in the infield, while that all Ryan Newman is still trying to get him out of the car. Um, the thing is, no one had any information, and I don't people are blasting Denny Hamlin for like being insensitive. It's like no one knew what was going on, and at that point of the race, you're starting to unhook your radio and your belts and stuff, and you're not really thinking about that stuff. So you know, it's I don't blame him. It was a racing. It's one of those scary things. It's like it wasn't done on purpose. It's a racing incident that took place.
Right. Yeah, you can't fault them. You can't fault the man for soaking up the victory.